Hello, very good morning to you and welcome to Daybreak Benue on Benue Television. I hope you're having a great time, and today's edition of the program is going to be exceptionally good. Remember, we are going to be taking a look at citizens and present day reality in Nigeria. Way forward. What can we do to mitigate the hardship in the country? What can Nigerians do to be able to be at par with other nations? We have been acclaimed the giant of Africa. But in the real sense of the word, are we living up to the standard of the giant of Africa? Countries that seek help from us seem to be doing better than we are doing. We, however, want to appreciate the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for being very active enough to see that the economy is restructured. But the most difficult thing to do in the country is to restructure our nation economically. Political, social, economic restructuring is one of the most arduous tasks that we are faced with. Several dispensations have come on board and without success. This time around, we have had a technocrat, one who has managed the economic woes of Lagos and transformed Lagos into what it is today. People call it small country. It is expected that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to transform the country into another London or United States of America. This is the task before the president and the citizens, and we must all be joined to do this and make it work. Change must begin with our individual selves. My name is Japhet Kwahom.
Good morning, Daybreak family. Welcome to Daybreak Tuesday edition, of the show. My name is Maureen Young. Good morning, Jaffe.
Maureen.
I was trying to keep
You seem to charm me without a smile.
I was trying to keep my own cool here because I had a hot cup of tea and I'm...
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, part of problem. That's what you always say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, it's always the weather is good for the coffee.
No, it is.
And coffee goes with the weather.
Definitely.
But of course, Benue people are actually waiting to hear what's happening around Nigeria, and it is no longer news that hardship is being experienced everywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Everywhere, hardship is being experienced, and for hardship to be, actually mitigated, it takes collective responsibility. It takes your effort. It takes mine.
And you know the adage that a hungry man is an angry man seems to apply to Nigerians.
And a hungry man is the most impatient man.
Definitely.
Yes,
so a lot of impatience all over the place. There's this sense of disillusionment that Nigerians are experiencing because of the way things are. Every day it seems like things are getting tougher and tougher.
All of us are disillusioned.
Yeah, exactly.
You are, and I am.
Yeah, so
and everyone is beginning to be apprehensive.
Yeah,
where are we
wondering
headed?
where are we heading to?
Yes.
So that question is really, something germane that requires a lot of thought and a lot of, delving into as well.
Yes. And so Nigeria, let us go back to work here in the sense that we need to fix the country. We do not belong to any other one. We cannot become Nigerians. We will always be Nigerians because this is our real identity handed down to us by God himself. But we have deviated from what it's supposed to be the working principles of our country so that we have a better country. It is a time for us to go back to work and change the country to what it was designed to be by our founding fathers. I think our guest has been there, and so we need to connect with him. So let's go on a break very quickly. When we return, we'll have our guest seated for our interactions. Hello, a very good morning to you. Once again, we'd like to welcome you to the program. That's Daybreak Benue, our flagship program. This is where we break the day with the Benue people. And today's edition of the program is talking about the citizens directly, and that is you and me. And when it pertains to the citizens and the country, we need to say the truth, and only the truth is capable of changing the narrative in the country. Today we are dedicating this moment to look at what's happening in the country and how we can change the mantra. We have a man of God in the house who is also a public affairs analyst. I'm talking about Apostle Dr. David Ntwenen is here in the house to take a look at this important topic, and we are very sure of nothing but the truth coming from him. I'd like to welcome you once again to the studios of Benue Television, Apostle Dr. David Ntwenen.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Good morning, Benue.
It's indeed one pleasure having you. You look very immaculate in your white attire. And let's take a look at...
let there be peace.
Yeah, let there be peace
in
indeed.
Nigeria.
Let there be peace in Nigeria.
Yes.
Apostle Dr. Ntwenen, you know that someone wrote a book that things fall apart, and you know that when things fall apart, the center is likely not to hold. I don't know, what's your feeling towards Nigeria as a country and as a citizen? Do you think things are going rightly in the country as we speak? And if things are not going rightly, what do you think is responsible for the penury Nigerians are going through at the moment?
Thank you very much once again for the privilege for inviting me to be here.
You're welcome.
I also appreciate your beautiful
Thank you.
co-presenter.
You're welcome.
This very hour. For us in Nigeria, we are all Nigerians. We know what we are passing through. Except if you have a stranger in the land,
Yes.
or somebody that is coming from the moon, that will not know the reality of what we are passing through in Nigeria. We don't need a fortune teller to tell us that this country is sick. The country is sick and desiring a very serious attention. If there is if there is any place like intensive care unit where a country needs to be taken to. Nigeria should be taken to intensive care unit now, because the indicators, the social indicators, the political indicators, the economic indicators, the educational indicators are on the red line. Things are not working very well. So I'm in Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria. I'm still in Nigeria. As old as I am, I have not crossed the Cotonou. So I should be able to appraise Nigeria. So the person that wrote things fall apart, and one young man that rose up one day and was singing that Nigeria Jaga Jaga, these things are happening really with us. So people are not feeling okay. When you are asking, I think it's about leadership. It's about leadership, because it's the leadership that is the driver, the pilot of this nation from the origin of this country. So if the leadership is right, the systems will be right, the leadership will be okay, and things will be working well. But where we are now, things are not working well, and we are feeling the impact of it. Nobody should kid anybody. Let me just highlight certain things. If we look at the inflation is at a level that we Nigerians are no longer breathing well. It's at a high side. Nigeria, as we speak now, if we look at the level of unemployment, is alarming. Everybody is feeling the devastating impact of unemployment. If you go on the issue of security, you will discover that in every part of Nigeria, every region and geopolitical zone, the level of insecurity is increasing. Criminality is increasing every day. So in Niger Delta, Middle Belt, whether you talk about banditry, you talk about terrorism, you talk about kidnapping, every form of every region in this country, the level of insecurity is alarming. It's really alarming. And then you talk about inequality. The issue of inequality in this country is, in fact, we don't know what we can talk about at all. So many inequalities here and there in this country. And then discrimination and nepotism has been the order of the day, where those that are qualified are not close to leadership. And then the unqualified are swimming in billions and looting all over the place. So some of these few things are making this country to desire attention. As I was talking from the beginning, if there's a place that we can carry our country, Nigeria, for intensive attention, we should be now. I normally hear our leaders talking about, we feel your pains, we're feeling your pains. You can excite some little question here and there to get the system. These are all rhetorics. Because how are they feeling the pain? If I'm hungry now, I don't think a leader that's eating salad somewhere will feel the pain. I don't think so. Those people that they cannot even see light in Nigeria. Or how much can you buy charcoal? Not even talk. We don't even have kerosene now in our country. So the generation that yet are born with, we now know, we're telling them that there was kerosene in Nigeria. As bad as the situation is now.
But the question is, what is causing all of these things? Something must be. There must be a causative factor. Something must have given birth to all of these issues you have raised here. What is the problem?
The issue is the issue of leadership. And
but do we manufacture, can we manufacture leadership?
It boils down to bad governance.
Is it possible to manufacture leadership? Because other African nations that we are helping to stand are doing well. So is it that Nigeria is cursed? I don't understand.
Well, when you talk about manufacturing leadership, I think we are manufacturing leadership. Well, after 4 years, Nigerians will manufacture another leadership.
So who do we blame in this case?
Those people that are manufacturers, that are put at the helm of the affairs, that will not give out the result. In a way, the issue of campaigning, visionary campaigns, Nigerians, most of those aspirants, they know our problems. They come out and tell you, if I am elected, maybe president or governor or chairman, of course, maybe chairmen are no longer elected. That is another issue. But what I'm saying is that they will tell you, because we know our problems. And once they are there, the promises and the manifesto, whether of the political party or whatever, what the social contract that they sign, they will gradually and tactically move away from the social contract with the people.
And so are they different human beings than the other persons? Because these are in other countries too, is the same manifesto that is presented. And at the end of the day, they live up to their manifestos. But here, the same leaders come tell us, this is what we are going to do. At the end of the day, they don't do it, and nothing happens. Well, so why is our case different?
Our case is different because there is a lot of impunity in the system and immunity. I mean, we talk about immunity and impunity. People are using immunity to commit impunity. That's the issue. In other places that you are talking about, people are punished in leadership, and people are punished after leadership. So they are afraid of the punitive measures, the consequences of their misgovernance and misadministration. But come over here, people in governance, maybe when they are governor and post-governance, the infractions are discovered. We hear about cases of billions that are siphoned with former governors. EFCC or ICPC, we talk about they have files, they have their own cases, and they will now make the media trial. Before you know it, the cases are dead. So when people in leadership are not leading well, they are looting, and nobody is punishing them. They are not held accountable. They are not in prison. Those other ones that are coming, if not they are coming with the fear of God, they will still do the system, go the same way, believing that even though if I have done anything, nothing will happen to
but
me.
Apostle,
Yes.
Apostle, don't you think that we Nigerians too are also contributing? Let me give you an instance. I don't know if you were following the elections in France and in the UK, but even if you weren't, let me just give you a rough picture.
Yes.
You had young people who came out, many Nigerians, about 7 to also won elective posts in the UK as well. And in France, we had some, moving from some majority from the Conservatives to the Labour Party, but that's about that. But you can see from these two places I mentioned, France and UK, young people came out. And as much as the young people came out, the general feeling was that everybody was tired of what the government was doing, or let me say, the government was doing at that point in time, in the sense that they wanted certain changes to be done. And when the time came for election, they made sure that they got the change that they wanted. So why is it different in Nigeria? Because you have rightly said that the problem is leadership, but these leaders have to pass through a process. You mentioned that they come out with their manifestos. These manifestos are read to us Nigerians. When it comes to the election, we go out to vote. And when we go out to vote, we sell our conscience. So don't you think that even we Nigerians, just like my colleague is saying, we have other African countries who look up to us and we have even helped, but they are doing far better than us. So don't you think that we Nigerians too are responsible for the kind of leaders that we have? We actually deserve the kind of leaders we have.
Let me agree with you in a little way that we cannot say that all of us are free from one form of guilt or the other. But let us go to the basis. When you talk about UK, you talk about France, other countries of the world, they have what they practice. They respect fundamental human rights. They protect the rights of citizens. The citizens have the right to protest peacefully. The citizens have the right to be heard of that of demonstration. And those people there, the law enforcement agency in those places, they will do their best to ensure that people are not gunned down.
Are you saying
That's it. But in Nigeria, the issue that youth have come out to protest in France, and something has changed, they changed governance, they changed the architecture of leadership. Yes, it is possible. Because the institution, the cohesive institution of the state, they respect the lives of the people. over here in Nigeria, when you look at any protest anywhere, no matter how peaceful it is, you look at the ammunition that is taken against the ordinary people, and they are killed, and nobody is held responsible. So it's like with the country that we are living in a banana republic, where life does not matter in this country. So the youth over there, the rights that they have in France, in UK, are not the same right you and I have here in Nigeria.
But Nigeria is using the same constitution. Let me say, has a template, using the UK as, an example.
Very well. When you say templates, I agree with you, because in terms of the theoretical and framework of the law, we have them. But how is it the enforcement? Who is enforcing the law rightly? So when you look at what is going on, you will discover that if there's a protest against bad governance, the people that will be killed. Look at what happened in Lagos, the NSAS protest. Do you know how many Nigerians, youths, were gunned down?
But the police has said no Nigerian died. Even the committee.
It's not the issue of police have said. The reporters were there. We have live videos. People were captured on camera that time. Those things are there and live up to today. What has happened? So what I'm saying is that the youth elsewhere that have done that, they are getting a result because the cohesive instrument of the state are respecting the lives of people that are fair demonstration and peaceful assembly.
So
but here now, the level of brutality against peaceful protests is making people to be cowed, is making people to be afraid of their dear life. That is why it is as if nobody is out to go down the street to protest now.
But don't you think that is further making the situation of Nigeria worse? Because as it is, everybody is feeling the brunt of everything now. In 10 years, everything has cascaded.
Yeah.
The Naira doesn't have any value. Things are constantly increasing in price and in dimension. So don't you think that this continuous fear that Nigerians are having is not to our own benefit? Even though our leaders, like you said, they say they feel our pain, but it is obvious that they do not feel our pain, because if they were feeling our pain, something would have happened drastically in the past 1 year.
Well, maybe we're looking forward to people that will pay the supreme price. The people that will shed their blood. Because now, if there is any protest
then you have
that will
admitted.
go, let me tell you one thing. Do you know that in the early 70s or 80s, the labor unions were at the forefront of agitations of the rights of other segments of the society? Do you know how the labor unions now have been muzzled and bastardized? Do you know the level that, in fact, it's like they are toothless bulldog now. But what I'm saying is that if Nigerians will go out to cause any revolution in the system, I bet you, I'm not a prophet of doom, but many lives will be gone, because they are using a particular system now that they don't care whether 20 people or 100 people are gone down for them to continue their misrule. That is as bad as the situation is.
It's all right. We are not in any way inciting the members of the public for a revolution, because in a democracy, revolution can never be the way to go. But there must be a way to go.
Yes.
And that is the essence of the program here today. Now, Dr. Mswenen, you have identified certain areas that you have considered to be the problem of this country. You have rightly said here from the introductory part of your speech that we often recruit wrong leadership. And that is to say that we are also part of the problem of this country. Now, a problem that you are a part of is easy to correct. It's not an alien problem. It is a problem that is partly caused by you. You can't continue to do the same thing every time and get a different result. What are you expecting Nigerians to do differently to get leadership right?
Well, we Nigerians, I think everybody, it will come to a point that this bad leadership will come to a ceiling.
When will it come to that point?
We are getting to that
point.
Democracy,
we're
uninterrupted 25 years.
We're getting
so
to
when
that.
We have gone 2 decades and a half.
Yes.
When is it going to be corrected?
Yes, already the 2 decades, we know the pains and the agony that we have passed through. There is a saying in TIF that even a goat, if you push it to a particular point, it is going to bite. It will come to a neck-breaking point where all of us can rise up genuinely and say enough is enough. The system that we have now can be corrected, because I don't imagine that the bad governance will live in Nigeria for eternity. I don't believe that.
Yes.
And I will never subscribe
But
to that.
remember, you identified paying the supreme price. There is no price on the face of the earth that is bigger than blood itself.
Yes.
Soldiers have died in their numbers. Citizens have died, both during protest and off protest periods.
Yes.
This is the situation which you have identified yourself. Now, if we have paid the supreme price and nothing is happening, if we have protested and protest leads to killings, where is the way to go?
Definitely there's going to be a way out, because on this planet Earth, every problem will surely have a solution. Sometimes one particular leader will come and change the narrative. One particular leader. I believe strongly that there's going to be a political messiah one day for this country. A true nationalist that will come back and restore the fortunes of this country. We cannot continue to open the chapter of lamentation forever. The pains are much. For where you were talking about feeling, looking where you're talking about the reality of Nigeria and how the citizens are feeling now. I just happened to go market to I normally go to market myself. And what is happening today, let me assure you, the reality today is that more than 70% of Nigerians are going to bed hungry. That's the reality on the ground now. More than 80% are going to bed hungry now. Because if you go to market now, what was considered as a staple food for an average family is no longer available for them. Beans now is out of reach. Ordinary custard of bean is getting to 10,000. How many people can afford? Beans is more costly, is more expensive than rice now. The tomatoes, they are not even available, and when they are available, they are not affordable now. Yesterday I went to market with one of my church members, and she bought pepper of 400 with a small leather. Can just hold it like this, 400 naira pepper. I was asking her, how long are you going to use this? Say maybe 1 or 2 days, just like this. So he was saying that sometimes he will remove 2 pieces of it to cook 2 pieces of pepper to cook soup. The reality is so bad and horrible. It's very horrible. And then when you look at the system now, the money, the living condition, livelihoods, and the living condition is deteriorating every day. It's deteriorating. That's the reality. So time has come for us. While we are anticipating the political messiah for our country, for our dear country, I want to advise now that those that are privileged, maybe in leadership, or at the private sector, or even at the secular or the spiritual sector, we are coming from our families. If everybody is coming from a family, so if the system, if the governmental systems are failing, and you are privileged, please make your family system to work. In other words, I want to advocate a system whereby we don't have to be weeping and forever. If you are privileged, please go to the village. There is a woman there that you can impact, you can change the reality. There is a family, you can change the reality. There is a place that can change the reality. So for us, the government seem not to give us the answers now. So those that are privileged individuals now, philanthropy, well-meaning Nigerians, should help the system now. If not, Nigerians are dying every day because of the system that we are passing through now.
Now, Apostle Sonem, you
Yes.
mentioned something when you were talking about when you said you went to the market.
Yes.
So the present reality right now in the market is that even if there is food is not available.
Very well.
If you see it, it is very expensive. How did we get there, and where are we going to? What is the way forward? Because whether we like it or not, like, let me give you an example. Last week I did just a little bit survey in the market, I discovered, just like you said, tomato, a small bowl of tomato that goes for 700. And then when I asked, because it's a woman who buys it in bulk. So when I asked her why it looks like at this point in time tomato should be cheap, but it's not cheap, she told me that a lot of people are coming from the north to come and buy tomatoes from here, not even from Jos, to buy from here and go and sell in Enugu and Lagos. So that means what is being produced should be enough, but it's not enough because there's too much demand for tomatoes. So how do we get to this point, and what is the way forward?
Well, where we have got a lot of factors, climatic factor is one of those issues. Climate has changed drastically, having its toll on the farming season. Number two, those that are farming are displaced. The real farmers, I am not the one in the church that is farming. The real farmers are displaced. Some of them were displaced since the era of Jonathan, and they are still in our country in the displaced camp. Buhari came 8 years. They are there. They were there, and now the president has come. More farmers are displaced in farming communities and are camped somewhere. Then the cost of farming itself is at the high side. Because the inflation that I was telling you about, it's not easy to go to farm. Sometimes our leaders will tell you that our wealth is on the ground. How will you now type the wealth from the ground? What about the herbicide, the sprayers? What about the fertilizer? How many people can afford a bag of fertilizer? Even if you want to afford, is it available and affordable? So there are a lot of these things there. So the many people now, because of the harsh reality of the economy of the country, they are pushed out of farms. And then the insecurity has compounded the problem, pushed so many people out of the farm. So the fraction that is managing to farm is very small. So there is no way that we can produce enough so that the production can be surplus, so that they can beat out the cost of food items. So at this point, I was thinking that our leaders can open the borders, and they can also call for help for other countries. I remember at a point in time where Nigeria was shipping food as aid to other countries. We have come to a stage, a reality, that our leaders should beg other countries to supply food, whether it's aid to this country. So I also look at this. Sometimes when they are talking about helping people, they say until whether you are a fire victim or disaster victim or flood victim or you are displaced, that will give you a palliative or food. I want to disagree. Where we are, the reality now demands that our leaders should not be looking at fire disaster or flood or displacement. Every Nigerian now, majority of Nigerians now are hungry. If there is a reserve of food everywhere, they should take the food. As I'm speaking to you now, even though I have a church, come and look at how people are coming. People are emaciated. People are hungry. If you look at somebody that is sick and hungry, you will know.
But President Tinubu last week, announced the injection of 2 trillion into the economy. He said it's going to, improve businesses. Also, pump more food. Specifically, he said that they are going to give about 15 billion or so to help, grow Nigeria in the sense that they're going to grow enough food and also boost local production. So, do you think that these are, actually germane efforts by President Tinubu to ensure that, at least food becomes stable, because he gave himself a time frame of 1 year? So, do you think that this is actually germane enough, and it looks like the president is, serious about this?
We need emergency food now for Nigerians. That's the reality. The long-term planning or whatever plan is having, no matter how laudable, if Nigeria, majority of them die before that 1 year, what happens? What I'm telling you really demands that we need emergency interventions now to Nigeria. That's the reality. So if there is trillion or billion for whatever purpose, part of that trillion or billion, food should be procured and distributed. When they are going, there's other governors like Lagos State. Now, Lagos State, I heard the other time that they were going about distributing food to the vulnerable, those people that were destitute, those people that need help. from local government to local government. I also read from some papers that Lagos State Governor on Lagos, they have a Sunday market. That when you go, they discount the food, how they are selling
The prices of food.
the food or prices, they about 30% discount every Sunday market.
Do you think that will actually help the
It
situation?
is helping. You go and see how people will line up.
It's all right now.
Let's go and see how people will line up.
Doctor.
So it's helping.
Dr. Nswenem,
Yes.
this question is a direct one because sometimes there is a need for us to call a spade a spade.
Yes.
Do you have confidence in the handling of the economy of this country by President Tinubu?
What confidence do I have from the beginning of what I'm saying up to now? I don't have any single confidence. I'm serious.
Specifically his economic team.
but
What
you-
I'm saying is that if you look at where dollar was and where dollar is now, if you look at, they just look at the common things that are surface. I don't need to be an economist or an expert to know. But what I'm telling you is that when Buhari left and where he is now, the situation is deteriorating and is worsening. Because the economic life of a Nigerian is not better under him. So if there is any paperwork or any framework or any economic team or whatever thing that is happening, the impact is not felt anywhere.
It's all right, but it's one thing not to have confidence in someone. It's another thing to see lack of sincerity elsewhere. Do you see any iota of sincerity in what the president has been telling us and in what his economic team is doing?
For me, I hardly hear him speak. So
But the times you've heard him
you
speak.
said here that he had a leader comes out to say we should be patient. I think you were referring to President.
yes,
Tinubu.
we're on the
Yes.
issue of the economic level.
Yes.
Because where we are, when you were talking about releasing of trillion
Trillion,
or
2
whatever
trillion.
billions, to me, I think if our president can listen to us, nobody stops our president from releasing food aid to local government or council ward or whatever area. The issue of using middlemen to reaching the masses has to be checked. We normally hear of
Okay, are you suspecting that such food or
It-
aid doesn't really get to the people?
you are here. Sometimes they say, the other time they will say governors were giving certain palliatives to go and provide food to the people. And we're told that some people use it for whatever purpose, for the interest, because it was a description. Like if you come to me and you discover that you Japheth, you know that my children are hungry. You're giving me maybe 10,000 to go to the market and buy food stuff. You are there and you are watching. I decided to go and buy data. I will begin to distribute whatever to my children. But you were for food.
Some people
So
have,
diversion, cases of diversion are always in the system.
some persons have said the problem of Nigeria is beyond sharing of food and other palliatives. That's a problem that needs to be fixed from the roots. That there is no amount of food that can be shared across Nigerians to cushion the effect of hunger and the pain that we're having, because the poverty has eaten deep into the fabric of our state. So what do you think could be the other measures to actually handle the problems that we're having beyond just sharing of palliatives? Because if it is about palliatives, let's be very honest, President Bola Tinubu has done a whole lot of things. Trailer loads of rice, grains and all of that. We have heard
From the
several
grain
times,
reserve as well.
you know, monies 50,000 and all of that supported. But would this really be the problem now, or would
The
this really
solution.
support what we are feeling right now? If this will not, what can we do? Looking away from food and other palliatives.
Well, before I go to looking at other ways, I think if somebody say food is not a problem, I don't agree. Because you know some of the basic necessities of life.
So how much food do you
Some-
think will be shared to Nigerians
Some
now
of the
that will be
basic,
enough to take them through one month?
Yes, I'm saying that some of the basic necessities of life, food, shelter, and clothing.
Agreed.
So you cannot,
Yes. Yeah.
cannot rule out food. So, but we're not saying food should be priority. But food, you cannot. Everybody, no matter whether you're president or governor, as you're working here at the end of the day, you can't do without food. It's essential. It's not negotiable. There are certain things that you cannot have them but you will live. But the food is save life and wealth. So nobody should play with it. Even though the food cannot go round, the fraction that can go round, let it go round. That's what we're saying. But what we are going to do looking forward is that we need to improve the security of this nation. Because the insecurity has brought a whole lot of destabilization. The insecurity. It has completely devastated systems. Number two, the leadership has to be humane. The leadership that we have should have what I may call human face. The interests. Let them go for the common interests. Parochial interests, self-centered interests should be put to the dustbin. People are dying for crying loud. So the leadership must have mercy on Nigerians and do something very fast about it. The current state of leadership, they promise that they will come back. The leadership will be in such a way that will have a hope in a system. So the hope that they promise us, I want to pray that the level of hopelessness is at the highest side. So let them live up to what they promise us. Give us that hope. If not, they despair. The level of hopelessness is terrible.
Don't you see any sign that there's a hope for the country? Because you have mentioned something critical here. You did mention that the leaders need to have a humane face.
Yes.
So let us put it this way. You have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you have the red and green chambers, that's the Senate and the House of Representatives. You also have the ministers, you have the governors. So don't you think that with all these I have mentioned, we ought to have people that have a human face so that Nigerians can actually feel that this is a country that they should be proud to belong to?
Well, we are praying. Nigeria is a praying nation, and we pray so much. And I also believe that God will answer all our prayers someday. That's what we are saying. But sometimes like some of us, I look at the leadership. We know of people that were good, very, very good in Nigeria. But once they are there as leaders, I don't think whether they have double personality or there is a masquerade.
Do you think
there is
because
something?
There's something you mentioned,
it's like
immunity leads to impunity.
Yeah, very well.
So do you think that is what is happening now?
But definitely they say power corrupts, and also power corrupts absolutely. Once people are there as leaders, I think their paramount interest is let me have maximum power and authority. And once they have that kind of power, sometimes like they no longer have ears to listen. Some of these programs that sometimes you are presenting, it's like sometimes hard realities that are unveiled, the facts. Those that are sitting on the other side, it's like we are against them. But we are not against them. We are helping them to be very constructive. We are giving certain solutions, and we are just adversary. At the end of the day, when you do 4 or 8 years, and your name has gone down to the dustbin as one of being the worst, is that what you were aspiring to be? So if you are before a leader, you are a good man, and now that you are made a leader, the whole world knows that you are a bad man. Was it the reason why you are aspiring to be that leader? So they too have to have a reappraisal and re-examination, so that the good name is better than gold and silver. It must not be accumulation, primitive accumulation of wealth. Having house in Banana Republic, in Dubai, or trying to, where is the latest opening that I will go and have a house? That's not the reason why you were elected. At the end of the day, you have a house in South Africa, in UK, in France, in Banana Republic, and you can't sleep in those houses. And the houses, nobody will occupy them. Do you know the kind of skyscrapers in Abuja that are unoccupied? Unoccupied because people cannot afford to pay. So many houses in Abuja that the rich accumulated wealth and built them in Abuja, the ordinary citizens cannot occupy. They themselves cannot even sleep in those houses. Of what value were those?
Okay,
I
see that
I think we are due for a break at this point in time, and when we return, we have more questions for Dr. David Nswenen. Let's go on a break. to the program. This is Daybreak Benue on Benue Television, and we are still here, having our engagement with Apostle Dr. David Benue, who is also a public affairs analyst. And before we went on the break, I was following you keenly. You made a statement that we need to rejig our security architecture, and that could go a long way in helping to see that we are a stabilized economy. Yes, of course, it's no doubt that several farmers have been displaced in the country, and what we used to have to eat will usually come from the farms and not from the offices. Now, let's look at the reality when it comes to rejigging the security architecture of the country. Nigeria as a country has just about not exactly 371,800 police officers, and these are the people who are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring there is public law and order. Take a look at the population of our country. We are way over 260 million people. How can 371,800 police officers take care of the security needs of these people?
Well, you know that you say once a problem is identified, the solution lies in the problem. What we are saying here is that thank God that we know that we are under police, and every leadership that will come will be aware that the personnel and logistics is not good enough.
Should we also thank God? Should we also thank God that we know that we have been refusing to accept community policing, which is the way forward in other nations?
The issue here is that we know our problems. What we need now is to provide solutions. Okay, when you talk about the statistics you give about police force, a leader will come and say, I want to recruit like 10,000. Even that 10,000, look at how lopsided it will be done. And if security is taken as priority, because there cannot be development without peace and security. That is the basics. And it is because of this that this insecurity that has made the agriculture sector, the economy, and even the political setup not to be stable.
Do you agree?
So what we are saying here is that the money that the federal government is having, what is stopping them from recruiting? When you talk about National Assembly, if they tell you how much they are paying for maybe newspaper allowance, how much they are paying for gardeners and all that, this money in the system, we know our problems. What is stopping? Because if the unemployment is at a high rate, and we need to, there are a lot of vacancies to be employed, what can they employ? And if they want, even if they apply on monthly basis, it will help the system. So we need to urgently improve the security architecture, and then the armament and enforcement. Even these ones that you talk about, what arms do they have? Sometimes when I go on the street and I see a policeman with a gun, I even imagine whether that gun will work at all. Because you look at how shattered and scattered, and sometimes they will even tie rope, whether red or whatever rope. Now that are using digital cameras and weapons to fight, our police are not even using, you cannot see them having even AK-47 or whatever modern that even the bandits are using.
But Apostle, don't you think this is because the recruitment, just like you're saying, and the politics surrounding security is too centralized? Don't you think that because the federal government has so much, control and control and influence over security? Don't you think that this is the problem that we're having now? If, like my colleague just raised now, if we have local policing, which we have always been advocating for, and some of the state governors have actually lended their support to, don't you think that the security situation will improve? Because this will give the governors more room to employ people that will work for the security sector. And not only that, it will also ensure that this, like you mentioned, unemployment, you take a lot of unemployed youths off the street and give them legitimate jobs. Don't you think that removing so much control from the federal government regarding security is the way forward?
It is a way forward. You know, our leaders are very good copying good things from other places. They know of good things, but they don't want to implement and domesticate them here. I think most of the structure they will have is similar to that of America. The structure, the constitutional structure that we have.
Which supports
we suppose
local
policing.
Yes.
We support local policing. But I think the issue of politicizing everything in Nigeria has been a problem. Even security has been politicized. That is the problem, because when you look at it, why people are having this fear is that come to look at the neighborhood watch, come to look at the vigilante or Matekum or this either network or security that states have been trying to put forward at a subnational level. What we have been seeing is that those neighborhood or whatever vigilante that are being controlled by subnationals are politicized and used for unwholesome practices. So they fear that when you now try to bring state police, they will be used by governor has been there at the front burner. And then the other issue here is that the state are complaining that don't have the fund to pay even salaries. And if you look at the way of states and the possibility of bringing in the police or whatever creation now, it shows that it will also have another toll on the lean finances, according to governor, the lean finances that they have. So the question is that can they furnish or equip the police if they have state police? But the way out is having a security architecture at the state level, because we know that the security is not enough. So definitely the constitution that is being amended now should clearly give us room for state police. That's the best way to go. It will help the system, because a system whereby a commissioner from above will come here and they say a governor, the chief security officer, and he's not taking order from the governor. The governor will now talk to a commissioner and say, I have not received order from above. So how is the governor now the chief security officer of the state?
But don't you think we should have like a constitutional, backing to that? Because by law, the governor is the chief security officer of his
Is it by law
state.
or by provision or by pronouncement?
Okay, now by pronouncement. Now, even and like you said, by pronouncement. Now, given that the governor is the chief security officer of his state, that means everything within his domain is under his purview. So why should a commissioner of police not be under the purview of the governor? Because he's coming to serve in the state of the governor.
Because
why do you think that anomaly is existing?
It is because like who hires pays. It's not like that, because who is hiring those commissioners? Who is deploying them? Who is posting them? The governor has no right which commissioners to stay here or which commissioner not to stay here. A commissioner is posted from above, and you are here, you report to governor, and the governor, welcome to the state. And in the military hierarchy, the phrase, the popular, obey the last order. You cannot ever dare to say no to your superior. So that's the problem. The governor is not a superior to any commissioner of police here in Benue State. The IG of police, and they take direct order from above to here. And even the IG or the police will now take it from Mr. President, because the president will normally hire the Inspector General of Police. So these are the issues. So the point we are, Nigeria, the level of insecurity is at the high side. Politics should be taken out of political matters, because the leaders and the governed and the followers
out of security
matters.
Okay.
We should not politicize political matters. Security matters. Where we are, people are dying. Do you know how many people are dying every day in Nigeria?
Speaking of politicization, you did mention ICPC and EFCC.
Yes.
Now, going back to those two agencies, do you think there is enough being done to fight corruption in the country? Do you think enough is being done? Because let me give an example. EFCC did come up with they didn't come up, but EFCC wanted to arrest the former governor of Kogi State, and then recently, just like last week, EFCC came up with a warning that they didn't want Nigerian students to protest, because EFCC has been arresting a lot of Nigerian students let me not say Nigerian students, a lot of young Nigerians in the name of 419 and Yahoo Yahoo. So recently, EFCC came out with an order ordering Nigerian youths not to protest. So looking at EFCC, do you think that enough is being done to fight corruption? EFCC and ICPC, do you think enough is being done to fight corruption in the country?
Where is enough? Enough is done nowhere. These institutions are gradually, when they started, they are gradually declining in productivity and efficiency. This is what is going on. Since 1999, they managed to imprison about 2 governors. I think they were Dare and Kalu. Kalu is still in the Senate. The other one, all of them are outside.
Jolly Nyame was also arrested.
Jolly Nyame, yes. So some of them. Now it was like that. The fire that they use now, the fire has quenched. And that is why you see what has been going on now. When I was telling you that everybody feel that the Commonwealth, no, you can loot it, there's nothing that can do about it. So the system has been declining gradually. The former president said, if we don't keep corruption, corruption will kill us. Under his watch, corruption never died. Under his watch, after now, look at the ministers that have been persecuted under him. But he realized that if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria. But he never killed corruption.
Okay,
Under him, you look at how a central bank governor, the one that was in charge of money. So where were the EFCC and ICPC that these trillions and billions were siphoned out of central bank and other ministries? So as far as we know, the issue of fighting corruption, the agencies are there, but they fight. I think those people that are into this business, maybe they are on top of the game more than those institutions.
So as at June, let's look at this. As at June 2015.
Yes.
Benue State security vote was pegged at 1 billion naira.
Yes.
It varies with other states. Lagos gets something that is different. Other states do have this. When cumulatively, when you bring this security vote together, you're having a whooping amount of money. Do you think the governors are using their security votes in the interest of the masses? Because we are looking at how they are also contributing to curbing insecurity in the state. It seems as though all of what we're talking about here, insecurity seem to take a greater percentage of the problems we're having in the country. Can you say with all sincerity that the governors have been putting to judicious use the security votes they collect from the federal government?
That is a very tough question, because I'm not a member of the State Security Council. I don't have access to it. But the reality is that if they are using it judiciously, security will be better. That's just the answer. Because you see, the truth of the matter is that somebody was saying the other time that security money, a vote is one of the best money that you can eat comfortably, because they don't account for security votes. They don't even carry it to state assembly or national assembly. So somebody can rightly say that it's okra for the governors.
But is that supposed to be
So, but what we're saying is that, assuming that security vote is used judiciously, the security will be better. For us in the state here, look at what is going on. Recently you saw what happened in Sankraazis. When you see that protests, maiming and destruction happen for almost a whole day. Where were the security? Even to a point that even a security post was under attack. So it shows that there is something, there is a lacuna somewhere, or there is something that is working somewhere, something responsible for it. And then the killings are going on every day. The killings are going on. Either it's in Gatu, or it is in West, or it is in Sankra. You know, the other time they say the whole of, Tsehaga in Katsina for more than 3 days.
Now,
so what we're saying is that if the security vote is used very well, the security will work very well. I don't know. I don't know there are some governors that they have donated, whatever they have donated to police, whether Helios vans, whether they are donating the Helios van, do they also donate equipment, armory? Do they also donate? I don't see it.
What about
Whether it's about all the
intelligence
cars.
gathering?
So whether they also give them the apparatus,
Yeah.
apart from those beautiful cars that carry AC. Because the people in the bush sometimes carry heavier guns. So if you give 1 or 2 Helios to police officers, and the weapons that they have, the logistics that they have, the intelligence that they have is not enough, and the personnel that is not enough, how will they contain those guys that are well organized and they have been in the system? There are some bandits, terrorists that have survived the system for almost more than a decade now, and they are well armed and well secure.
Now, Apostle Sonem, do you think we have an effective intelligence gathering? Because you look at this situation you just mentioned in Oko, a whole day. At first, it started at a peaceful protest, but along the line, it was hijacked, and a lot of things now happened. A lot of buildings, monies have been lost that shouldn't have been lost. So, do you think effective intelligence gathering is being done? Putting aside the fact that, like you just mentioned, finances are also important for security, but intelligence gathering too is also key, because you cannot just throw money at security problems if you don't have the required intel to, address those security challenges. I beg your pardon. So, don't you think enough effective intelligence gathering is being done at the moment in the country? Because whether we like it or not, Nigeria has grown, the population has expanded considerably.
What I want to tell you categorically that security intelligence, the security forces in Nigeria are intelligent.
But what seems to be lacking?
I say they are very, very intelligent. But what seems to be lacking is that when they don't have the logistics, when they don't have incentives, when they are not motivated, when they are not enough, what will their intelligence do? There was something that happened in this Basombo Bible crisis,
Yes.
and they were shooting. This one is not an issue of intelligence. They were shooting in Bayango. If you go to that Harvest FM, there is a checkpoint there. The police on duty on that highway, when they hear the gun, the sound of gun in the Bayango,
Gunshots, yes.
they run away for their lives. That was not an issue of intelligence. They know that there was an attack. They heard the gun. But the gun that they heard was not the one that they would go and contain. So when the journalists asked them, people from Harvest came and asked, and they said that they were on duty for a search, stop and search, not as militant, to go militant combatant. They run for their dear life. So the issue here is that you may have the security intelligence, but when you don't have the logistics and incentives to go out and fight, you have a superior enemy. You cannot go because of your dear life. So the problem has been, let them fund the security agencies very well. You will call the police, they will tell you they don't have a car, they don't have a fuel. What will they do? Even in that Zakiban crisis, people were calling. In fact, it was on social media. The intelligence was everywhere. The people were there. The police people were running to take cover. What they call tactical withdrawal. So we have a very serious issue on ground now. It's not just about intelligence gathering that they lack intelligence gathering. What about the informal that are giving the right things that are happening?
It's all right. We are talking about reality.
Yes.
In the country, and I will always be reminded that there is a present day reality.
Yes.
In the country. Still talking about insecurity, which seems to be the major problem that we are trying to address here. There is another side of the coin. I want to draw your attention to the fact that we have over 100 militant groups in the northwest and northeast operating, and they have their offices in the forest, operating where they have their intelligence and all of that. It has been reported by the military. Now, we also have up to 30,000 members operating with the militant groups that we have talked about here. When 30,000 people gather, you should know that it's a mammoth crowd.
Yes.
These are the people that are operating in the bush. I want to ask you, how many persons have been prosecuted from the time Jonathan became the president of this country to this point? How many persons have been prosecuted? How many persons have been imprisoned? How many persons are facing the law as a result of banditry, attacks, and all of that?
That's the problem. we're talking about. Even in the issue of bad leadership, I was telling you that when there is no punitive measure to serve as deterrent to others, if you manufacture another leadership, you still have the same result. You were talking about doing the same order, expecting to have a different result. It cannot work. So the issue here is very unfortunate that sometimes these bandits that have wasted more than dozens of lives, sometimes they will come out and say, we have renounced. They say your sins are forgiven. And some of them will be even enlisted in the army forces, unfortunately. So you will discover that the fire against these militants and terrorists is not enough. You rightly say that they know where they are. Sometimes the security people know that they need a particular mobilization before they will attack them.
And the question
because
is,
they will be overwhelmed.
Where they are, why is it difficult to take them out of such places?
They are not operating from the blue or the moon. They are operating in part of this. If you go to Sankara, axis now, those bandits, those militia, people around those communities, they know them. And they even report some of them. They call who is their leader. All the security agencies in Benue State or in Nigeria, they know where the hoodlums, the miscreants, the bad people, and their kingpins are. The issue here is that it's a proactive action that will tackle it once and for all. If you know that your problem is headache and you're not taking the appropriate drug for it, how will you now have a relief out of that headache? So the administration of security agencies has been that they know, but sometimes they don't have the capacity to confront them. And that is why sometimes they are overrun. They are overrun completely. Because when you talk about, you deploy like 2 Hilux with like maybe 20 police officers, and they happen to confront a militia that there are more than 5,000 fighting simultaneously. How can 10 people fight like 50 people at the same time?
Now there is a bigger problem lying ahead of us. You cannot talk about the security of lives without placing the security of food by the side.
Yes.
There is gross food shortage in the land. We have problems with supply of food to the urban areas because insecurity lingers. Sometimes even what we cultivate on the farm is wasted as a result of this same issue. How can we tackle our food security? Because you have complained about hunger as a word has come out of your mouth since the beginning of this interview for more than 10 times.
Maybe I'm hungry too.
That is to tell you that is the major problem we are facing.
I don't even know whether you are taking tea when you come to office every day.
The bigger question is, what can we do now first? Because from what you have said, food is paramount.
Yes.
We must eat to survive. Even if we're crying, we need food to sustain ourselves.
Yes.
How can we protect the little that we have, and how can we improve on that which we already have?
The issue of food security, until these people, our farmers,
yes,
that are suffering in internally displaced camps, are resettled to their farming communities and provided a security for them to stay there and farm. We cannot have food security, talk about the question of food security.
What about the urban
And then you also talk about the issue of these feeder roads. The roads, you cannot even access some farming communities. Maybe 1 or 2 bridges that they need to cross so that these people farm produce. Sometimes perishable goods are wasted because of no roads. I want to say that this current what case at the Supreme Court, giving autonomy to local government, where this Attorney General of the Federation has taken the state governors to them. I don't know why the state governor are still making case not to have local government autonomy. For whose interest? Let me give you an example. We have, I think, 777 local governments. 774
yes,
local government.
774.
Assuming 774 chairmen are able to do one borehole per month in this country, or do one road for maybe 3 months in one country, our rural areas would have been better off. Just assuming 77 doing only one project, they would have improved the living condition of the rural areas.
Are you saying the
but where we are today, a local government chairman will be a local government chair 6 months or 6 months. No toilet, no culvert.
So are you now?
So what we are saying is that this thing too is leading insecurity, because the people at the grassroots level there are not feeling the impact of leadership.
Are you beginning to see the governors as the problem?
Yeah, that's the problem as well.
I am not the one beginning to see them.
Or you have
the whole world is seeing.
Okay, you have seen them as well.
How will I not see what is going on? Because what I'm saying is that it's just like you want me to announce that the king has died, but that is not the issue we're talking about now.
Yes, I understand.
Why? If the federal government, let's be very honest, if federal government is not having joint account with state governors, and they are having their money, why are they having joint account with local government? And if they have joint account with the local government, after the joint account, what are the projects that local government are churning out? What are the projects? So it doesn't mean that now that the local government that were producing governance at the local government level are dead and buried forever. Who is going to resurrect them? This is where we are. So if we cannot tackle development at the grassroots level, the majority of people are living at the grassroots level. They will continue to be used available as idle hand, because they say idle's mind is devil's workshop.
It's all right.
So they are idle.
Many thanks. I really want to appreciate you immensely, Apostle Dr. David Swennen, a public affairs analyst and of course general overseer of the Lordship Ministry, Family Ministry here in Makudi. I want to thank you very, very warmly for being a part of the program. Yes, and also for being, able to speak the truth at various angles. I think our leaders are watching and they would need to check the narrative. Let's go on a break at this point. When we return, we'll take the papers briefly, and thereafter we'll call it a wrap on the show.
Ikodun mpoka kagogo whenever I hear the sound of the gong. Ochiaga baidu kalopia toha. Utukbo ohimini. Okpoku ogbadibo. Ado agatu apa emakalo kowebo. Unity is the only language we speak. Ujoki doma ekogwe igae. It is time to celebrate.
Welcome back to the program. This is Daybreak Benue on Benue Television. We are very happy to be here this morning. And let's take a look at the papers briefly here. Rivers crisis deepens. And court bars CJ Clark from dealings with 27 assembly members. And Fubara inaugurates ESCO member cleared by Oko Jumbo, 2 others. And Maule led lawmakers issue governor 7-day ultimatum. That's the issue in Rivers State. Now, contractors get 3 months to fix 260 federal government road project. All right, I would wish that some roads in Benue State are also part of this. FHC CJ declines Yahaya Bello's bid to transfer case to Kogi State. Nigeria Air 260 billion investigation. EFCC quizzes Ethiopian airline CEO. Nigeria, owing us 211,000 Sirika breached agreement. All right, that's coming from the Nation newspaper.
And from the Vanguard, we have above the newspaper masthead, banks borrowing from CBN skyrockets by 458% to 57.5 trillion naira. This is on page 19. Now the lead story, federal government opts for duty-free imports of rice, beans, wheat, other grains. Rider, it will impact on inflation, says Nasima. A step in the right direction, CPPE. Farmer Action Aid boss reacts. This you'll find on page 5. Now the last headline, scarcity. NMPCL blames logistics, flooding as petrol queues grow longer. This is on page 20, and that's it from Vanguard newspaper.
And so now let's take a look at the Daily Trust newspaper here briefly. The banner headline says pressure mounts on federal government to release Nnamdi Kanu. Only one option available after political agreement, Yadudu. And then you can find this on page 4 of the paper. NPC proposes November 2024 for national census. Page 6 of the paper. Sultan, NSCIA cautions political leaders against muscling traditional rulers. Page 5 of the paper gives you that story. And again, bandits killed one at that 22 in Katsina. 8 of page will give you that. And federal government plans waivers on rice, wheat, others. This is all coming from the Daily Trust newspaper.
Now from the Guardian, we have the lead story, 2023 budget performance outlook. Unfunded deficit hits 1 trillion in 9 months. Worsens federal government's fiscal position. This you'll find a lot of details on debt service, recurrent expenditure, capital expenditure, revenue, and fiscal deficit, all on page 6. Another headline, Obi urges anti-graft agencies to focus on grant theft. Page 4. EEDC to refund 11.8 billion to Southeast customers. Now this is good news for them. This is on page 7. Now the last one, which is very interesting, man climbs mast to protest economic hardship in Abuja. This is on page 4, and that's it from the Guardian newspaper.
All right, and so this is coming to bringing us to the end of the program. We want to appreciate all of us for staying with us to the end. Those at the back room, very many thanks, and to all of you. My name is Japhet Waho.
Thank you for staying with us on the show. My name is Maureen Yom. Have a pleasant day, and please stay tuned for the rest of the programs on Benue Television.